Mike Douglas is Michigan's retirement coach.
Ooh-wee. One thing I have said before, I will say it again. I don't care which side of the aisle you stand on. I'm just always surprised by the people that are surprised about Trump doing the things he says he was going to do. So the tariff thing hitting as it's been hitting in the days of late. Everybody's going, oh, what's happening? I'm like, did you not think this was going to happen?
Right.
I'm baffled. I'm baffled by the bafflement, but
yeah. He said what he's
he said what he said. He's doing what he did.
When they teach you public speaking, they say, tell him what you're going to tell him, and then tell him what you told him. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's kind of like the 3 core tenets of public speaking. Uh-huh. He's like, here's what I'm going to do. And then he does it. And then he reminds you, this is what I did. Mm-hmm. And people are like,
loves reminding too.
They're like, can you believe this? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He spent 12 months telling us he's going to do it.
So in circumstances of market turbulence and tariffs and Social Security insolvency and how to manage uncertainty, that's what I want to talk to you about coming up this half hour. But first, let's talk about, I guess it really is at the core, it's at the foundation of the work that you do at Life Plan Financial Design, is making sure people don't run out of money in their retirement. No matter how long you live, how can we best secure your income for the years ahead? So the conversation about longevity, couple of questions, couple of pieces of information to share with you here. The first one made me laugh because this new study by Natixis found when it comes to what age people want to retire, they broke it down by age groups, and it varies vastly because the boomers say they want to retire at about age 68. Gen X drops down to 60, and the millennials are coming in. They're looking at age 59, Mike. That is a lofty goal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when you sit with people and you hear when they, their thoughts on work, not on working, but like, what do they think about work?
Yeah. When
you're young, you're tired, you have a lot of kids, your kid's the youngest, which is the most difficult they'll ever be.
Yeah.
Just from a time standpoint, right? You're in diapers, you do all this stuff. As kids then grow older, you have teenagers and they're more fun and they're busier and they're doing sports and all these things and you're all over the place. It's a different kind of busy. Mm-hmm. And then they leave the house and it's like, okay, now we're empty nesters. And that's when I see a lot of people really dig back into work a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
And people in there, if we look at the boomers, well, they are kind of embracing the fact that this is the end of their work life. Not everybody, but many of them are just saying, hey, listen, I want to keep doing this while I can.
Yeah.
And so whether it's financial security or just purpose, it's not surprising that older people want, and I think you would see these numbers as millennials get older, hit the next phases of life. And I'm going to use the word maturity, not like millennials are mature, but in the scope of life they are compared to baby boomers.
Boomers, right, of course.
And so what's important now is different. When you're trying to pay for diapers and do all these things, it's like, I'm just trying to make sure we have enough money to cover these bills. Mm-hmm. And most of them are not investing heavily in their 401ks and really engaging in the fun at work because their kids are young and they're busy, whatever. As things grow, your focus changes. And as your focus changes, a lot of times work can bring more value and it's more of an asset than a liability in terms of time spent. So that's just an interesting perspective on it.
Yeah. Well, it gets even more interesting, particularly for these folks that are dreaming about retiring at age 59, because if that's what they really do, then they've got half of their life ahead of them before they leave this planet, because this is the real meat of the story that I want. Yeah, so it's millennials saying they want to retire.
This is a crazy story.
This is the way that these conversations go together. Millennials are saying they want to retire by age 59. In the meantime, cut to Dr. Ernst von Schwartz. He is a cardiologist.
It sounds like a name from like the movie Spaceballs or something like
does.
that. Like,
it sounds like
it's Ernst von Schwartz.
Dr. von Schwartz says. However, this is a real doctor, a cardiologist nonetheless, out of UCLA, who is sweeping in with this information. Millennials, brace yourselves. He is predicting that within the next decade, so relatively soon, the life expectancy for younger people is going to jump up to age 120. thanks to advances in stem cell therapy, which is a very interesting conversation, but we got to save it for another radio program.
Different radio show.
Different show. Because the advancements in stem cell therapy and just everything that is happening and medical advancements, 120 years old, he believes is what the life expectancy is going to become. So I guess millennials more than ever need to be leaning into this conversation about retirement planning, Mike. Figuring out how long somebody is going to live when planning and determining their retirement. It's hard enough as that is in current standing. So how do you begin to broach this conversation then? This, as I said earlier, this fundamental fact of a plan is understanding the longevity that somebody has and ensuring that they're not going to run out of money.
Yeah, 120 is crazy. Like that's... Yeah. And what's interesting about what he said was within the next decade,
soon
younger people can expect it. So that means in my mind, he's saying that we're probably 30 years from the technology that would allow it. But actually, I do spend quite a bit of time learning about this space, just strictly out of hobby. There are crazy advancements, whether it's CRISPR technology or, stem cell things, all these different places where you can see the longevity and not being alive, but unhealthy. But health span, being healthier longer. But we've already seen a lot of that. I mean, in the past couple of years, I just had a client pass away at 99 last year, and she was still sitting in meetings, fully functional, fully discussing her financial situation with us up until she passed. So she was not only cognizant, but like really in control of her faculties and her finances. And what's interesting is, we're sitting there with her at 99 years old talking about the long-term results of decisions she made when she retired almost 40 years prior. That's crazy to think about. She retired almost 40 years ago, and we're still living it out, making sure the plan's holding up, and it did. Everything was good. But it really gives you some perspective of the long-term effect of some short-term decisions. We have a handful of things that we work on constantly to really micromanage, because clients need to know that if they make it to 99, 100, 105, 110, at some point you won't even get on the news for that stuff anymore, because according to Ernst von Schwartz, everybody's going to be going to 120.
Smucker's jar on the Today Show.
Yeah, it really is. You got to do something to earn it there. And so if that's the case, how do we make sure, because at the end of the day, these are all numbers and whatever, but people want life. They want income. They want freedom to do. And the whole point of building a successful retirement plan is to give freedom to do what you want to do, with whom you want to do it, when you want to do it. So while you're healthy, while you're able, while you're encouraged, we want you to be going out and knocking things off your bucket list, spending time with kids and grandkids, doing living inheritance, giving money to them in advance, whatever it is you want to do. But, even going back to that first story, well, when I quit working, what do I do then? What is my purpose? Where do we go from here? What is my new thing in life? That's why we talk about retirement and refirement, right? Like, so once you retire, what purpose do you give yourself in life? And as you can think those things through, you start creating some perspective over the long haul. Well, if I retire at 65 and I make it to 100, I have 35 years of impact I can make on this world that is separate from, whatever car you made, whatever business you built, whatever you sold, bought, whatever. What is my 35 years of purpose? And it's a great thing to think about, but it requires some different planning, not just if I have this much money and I take 4% out, my money should last me till age 95. We need to account for inflation. We need to account for long-term care or medical costs, all these things that we know go up over time. And yet a static, just taking out $5,000 a month or whatever it is, doesn't really account for all of that.
Right.
So planning for retirements, I think it's easier and harder than it's ever been. It's easier because the information and tools we have and the ability to use financial instruments to accomplish every personal goal is greater than it's ever been. On the other hand, the hard part is, well, if I make it to 70 and die, how do I make sure I got the best bang for my buck? If I make it to 100, How do I make sure I got the best bang for my buck? And so it's really this interesting thing of if we had the crystal ball, if we knew when the market was going to crash or when we're going to die, it'd be easier. But using these tools, building a successful plan helps us that your retirement income has inflation protection. It's how you can make sure that if you make it 30 to 35 years into retirement, that you'll have enough income to protect everything you've built over the previous 40 years. That's why we build lifetime income reports. Yeah. It's a game plan to check all the boxes to make sure that your retirement income is built for the long haul. And yet, if something happens in the short term, we want to make sure our family and friends, everybody around us is taken care of the way we want. So a good estate plan, a good tax strategy, a good investment strategy, but the income we need to feel safe and secure, regardless of who's in office, regardless of the stock market, just knowing that we're going to be okay.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit michigansretirementcoach.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.